Yeah, she's here. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Am I on? All right. I would like to call to order this meeting of the Wyoming City Council. Would the clerk please call the roll? Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being streamed live on the city's YouTube channel, accessible from the city's website. If you would like to address City Council, please come up to the microphone to speak. The audio will not pick up if you do not speak into the microphone for those watching from YouTube. So tonight there are 12 items on the consent agenda. They are the December 15th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Mills Fence Company for the Recreation Center Improvements Project, a resolution honoring the 2025 Citizens of the Year, a resolution honoring Alyssa Adkins as a 2025 Citizens of the Year, a resolution honoring Tiernan Hogan, a 2025 Citizen of the Year, a resolution honoring Kathy Kessler, a 2025 Citizen of the Year, a resolution honoring Michael McChrystal, a 2025 Citizen of the Year, a resolution honoring Ellen Michael, a 2025 Citizen of the Year, a resolution honoring Don Monick, a 2025 Citizen of the Year, resolution honoring Susan Osha, 2025 Citizen of the Year, and a resolution honoring Graham Pierman, 2025 Citizen of the Year. Oh, did I skip one? Thank you. I didn't have that one here. Okay. And a resolution requesting the Hamilton County Auditor to make advance payments of taxes. Thank you. Did I do Graham Pierman? Yes. Okay. Do I hear a motion with respect to the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a
Second.
Thank you. Having been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda items, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Are there any questions or comments on the special reports? Okay, seeing none, we will now hear a report from the city manager.
Thanks, Mayor. The annual Citizen of the Year ceremony will take place on January 28th at 7:30 p.m. in the Pendry Center at the high school. If you never had the opportunity to attend this event, it is really a remarkable event to come and see some residents that have just really done some outstanding volunteer work in the city and around outside of the city as well. So these people that are honored have just done some amazing things. So if you have the opportunity and come to the Pendry Center, you'd really learn a lot about people that really make Wyoming special. So again, January 28th at 7:30 p.m. We do have volunteer opportunities available. The city's accepting applications for vacancies on the Architecture Review Board. Members should have a minimum of 8 years of professional experience as a registered architect. Additional information and the application can be found on the volunteer opportunities page on the website. Employment opportunities, the city is accepting applications for seasonal summer camp coordinator for the 26 camp season, as well as many other support positions for camp. Information can be found on the city's website or in their current recreation times. And everybody's favorite, tax forms. The 2025 Wyoming tax forms are now posted on the city's website, and paper copies are available in the lobby during normal business hours. And then our February City Council meeting, just as a reminder, will be, because the city offices are closed on February 16th for President's Day holiday, the City Council will meet on Tuesday, February 17th at 7 p.m. That's all. Okay. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any council committee reports not otherwise on the agenda? No? And are there any special committee reports not otherwise on the agenda? Okay. So we've reached that point in our meeting where a citizen may express an opinion, make a statement, address a concern, or ask a question on any subject that is not otherwise on the agenda. Comments will be recorded into the minutes and passed along to be addressed by the appropriate staff or city council committee as needed. This portion of the meeting is not for city council to provide responses to a citizen comment, but to hear what the citizen has to say. If you wish a response from the city to your concern or request for information, please leave your contact information with the clerk before you leave the meeting. And as a reminder, please state your name and address before making your comments to council. Is there anyone present that would like to bring an item not otherwise on the agenda before city council? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item of business. So our first item of business is a resolution honoring the services of Jean Allison, serving on the Architectural Review Board. So, Jean, if you'll come join me, is the mic on down there?
Yes. Should be.
You know what? Here, there. You can always make do, right?
All right.
All right. This is a resolution honoring the services of Jean Allison on the Architectural Review Board of the City of Wyoming, Ohio. Whereas, Jean Allison, with a strong sense of civic duty and a firmly held belief in the role of citizens in their governance, has served the citizens of the City of Wyoming as a member of the Architectural Review Board since 1998. And whereas Jean, as a member of the board, has contributed his time, effort, and professional expertise to the many projects that will continue to define our city far into the future. And whereas Jean has served as the chair of the Architectural Review Board, showing an even-handed leadership and making certain that all viewpoints were clearly heard and fairly considered. And whereas, in all of his service, working in his quiet but effective way, Jean brought his unique perspective and wisdom to bear on the myriad of projects that came before the board. And whereas, in this service to the community, Jean has served with diligence, sensitivity, and the best intentions for the people of the City of Wyoming, and has contributed willingly and unstintingly of his time, talent, energy, and expertise to the benefit of the present and future generation of our inhabitants. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Wyoming, on behalf of the people of the city, wishes to thank Jean Allison for his service to his community. And let it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the City Council of the City of Wyoming and be presented to Jean as but a small token of our continuing appreciation and esteem. Passed unanimously in council chambers of the City of Wyoming, Ohio, this 21st day of January 2026.
Thank you.
Good, okay. So the next agenda item is the proclamation declaring Black History Month. Whereas the life and vitality of our nation is enriched and strengthened by the diversity of peoples and cultures that it encompasses. And whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by Black Americans to our culture, our economy, our spiritual and political development. And whereas the 2026 national theme for the observance is A Century of Black History Commemorations, marking the 100th anniversary of the official observance started by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. The theme encourages exploring the significance of Black history commemorations and their role in transforming Black life and culture, while also focusing on resistance, resilience, and the ongoing journey of Black Americans. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals. And whereas the City of Wyoming continues to work towards becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens are respected and recognized for their contributions. And whereas it is especially important that each new generation come to know their ancestral history and to learn of the contributions, accomplishments, and sacrifices of their forebears in order to create a better future for all. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the City of Wyoming, Ohio, on behalf of all citizens and residents of the city, do proclaim the month of February in the year 2026 as Black History Month, given under my hand this 20th day of January in the year 2026. So the next item of business is the fourth quarter financial report. I'll turn it over to Jeremiah.
So good evening. Tonight I do have the fourth quarter financial summary. The first few slides will highlight the general fund. So for 2025, the general fund, you can see 14 million, just under 14,700,000 in total revenue. Real estate taxes of 4.6 million. Income tax receipts for 2025, just short of 8.5 million. We had interest earnings in the general fund of 549,000. Across all funds in 2025, the city generated 873,000 in interest earnings in 2025. And I'll go through a couple of highlights here in a second. As you can see, 90% of the general fund revenue is property and income tax. In terms of expenditures, 12,458,000, and that is, just turn some notes, that is below budget. Our budget was 12.9 million. As you can see in the next slide, the police, mayor's court, other operating costs, and public works make up over half of the general fund expenditures. Just to go through a couple of highlights. So income tax receipts were up 4.74%, approximately 380,000 in 2025 compared to 2024. Property tax receipts were flat, basically flat in 2025, which is anticipated. Really don't see property tax receipts fluctuate much unless it's a year that the county conducts a reassessment. It transfers out of 3.6 million. Some of that is to our capital improvement fund for projects, to our health life insurance fund. There's a $325,000 transfer to our recreation fund. And again, as you can see, we expended 96.5% of the budgeted amount for 2025. The next two slides go over the recreation fund. So the recreation fund was just over 1.5 million in revenue. And if I remove the subsidy and compare 2024 to 2025, revenue was slightly down in 2025. There were a couple of categories where revenue was down. So day camp revenue was down. There were more weeks of day camp in 2024 than there were in 2025. So day camp was down about 14,000. Fitness memberships were down approximately 7,000. And turf field rentals were down about 25,000. So in speaking with our recreation director this week, he did lock down another party, a soccer program to rent the turf field, which will help offset. So we had a group that rented the field in 2024 that did not rent it in 2025, and so we have found someone to help offset that revenue loss. In terms of expenditures, 1.5 million in expenditures. Expenditures are up in the recreation fund. It's not something that's not anticipated or expected. We've had increases in some of our contract services, increases in supplies, and those are some of the reasons why expenditures are up in 2025. This is the 10 million in bond anticipation notes that the city received in 2024. As you can see, this is what we spent so far of those funds. We expect to expend the rest of those in 2026. We'll also issue a second round of bands that will be at $10 million as well. That will fund the phase 2 of the street projects and water system improvements. Those funds close January 28th of this month in terms of the second round. Our capital improvement fund, you can see we had 2.5 million in expenditures. Over half of that was debt service. You can see these are some of the projects that were completed in 2025 outside of the street improvements. The Waterworks Capital Improvement Fund expenditures were all related to debt service. Our Water Revenue Fund, you can see just short of 2.5 million in total revenue. Revenue was up in our water sales and interest earnings. Expenditures were lower than budget. So everything really in that fund is anticipated in 2025. And the last slide that I have just highlights two of the city's non-major funds, the Street Construction Fund and State Highway Fund. So the Street Construction Fund expenditures were up some in 2025. We did complete a LED street light replacement in the downtown area. That cost approximately $150,000. It was like $149,000 and change. So that was the majority of the reason why expenditures were up. We also did have some increase in our gas and electric charges. So all of our street lights are paid for out of our street construction fund, and then the street lights that pertain to Springfield Pike are paid out of the state highway fund. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Jeremiah?
I had, in the general fund, there was about 1.9 million profit, or because of good management, extra money. Is that all plowed back into the CIP, or how does that get spent at this point?
Sure. So obviously those funds will be available for capital projects or equipment purchases. The city will issue bonds, general obligation bonds this year. So the anticipation will be that we'll keep our cash balances very strong until that point, so that when we go through a bond rating, we'll get the lowest interest rate possible. So it helps us look very strong in terms of a cash basis. After that, that will take place in the fall. During that same time period, City Council will review our capital projects for the next 5 years. So some of those funds could be allocated to those capital projects. That could be allocated to equipment purchases. Then we also like to keep about a 6-month reserve in the general fund, which is approximately $5 million. So we like to keep a reserve in the general fund for instances of any emergencies or something that would take place. So you have a 6-month operating reserve in the general fund.
Okay, and the general, we're at $5 million now, or there's $2 million?
We're at $9 million now in our general fund.
Okay,
in terms of our
in our reserve.
reserve, correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just had one question. This is on the deeper packet, not what you showed in here.
Sure.
We emailed a little about this, so I'll just ask you. The 2024 expenditure in Public Works versus 25. That was the
Yes.
that was the $200,000 delta. What drove that?
So there were several items that drove that. So we did, the Rumpke contract was up about 80,000 in 2025 compared to 2024. We did have additional labor costs of 84,000. So I know we did hire, I don't know the exact timing, we did hire some additional employees in anticipation of retirements. So we had some crossover overlap there.
Makes sense.
We did have our fuel, gas expenditures were up $12,000. Those three total $176,000. So those are really about 75% of that increase. And then when I looked at the rest of that, it was, spread across 10 different
Yep.
accounts.
Do we expect that to, I know, aside from the overlap, do we expect that going into 26? Will we stay closer to the 25 level or the 20?
Correct. We will stay closer to that. The Rumpke contract is, I think it was through 5 years, so that's been renewed. We expect that to stay at that higher rate going forward.
Thank you. Thanks for your help.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it's recommended that the report be received. Do I hear a motion with respect to the report?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, having been moved and seconded to receive the report, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Next up is a public hearing on the ordinance approving the development plan for the Hilltop Primary School located at 425 Oliver Road and amending the zoning code. And I turn it over to Mike Richley, the architect for the schools, and he'll provide the presentation.
Up there, and the crack of the European couldn't be farther apart.
They're saying it's very cold outside. Very, very, very cold. Good evening. My name is Mike Richley with Richley Architects, and I'm the architect serving Wyoming City Schools in this ambitious endeavor of replacing all the primary schools. I would like to introduce folks from the school district: Josh Stubenball with facilities, Susie Hankey with communications, district treasurer Rhonda Johnson, and your fearless superintendent, Mr. Tim Weber. Glad to have them with us. I'm going to do a pretty brief high-level overview of the Hilltop project, and then just welcome any questions that council would have for me. Starting at the macro level, this is, as I mentioned, is an ambitious project. We're replacing all the primary schools district-wide. So Hilltop, which is the subject of tonight, will receive a new K-4 building for 350 students. And then shortly in the future, I'll be back for Elm, which will be a new 200-student school, and then Vermont, a new 200-student school. Just for council's information, these are challenging projects. How do you build a new building on an occupied site? So the city's really pulled together, and we've come up with a kind of really elegant, phased solution that's been a real win-win for the community. Phase one is Hilltop. So Hilltop is currently in school at Friendship United Methodist Church. Right behind it, phase two, the district intends to enter into agreement with Presbyterian Church of Wyoming. So Elm students will move next in the Presbyterian Church of Wyoming. We'll abate and demolish Elm School and then rebuild. And then phase three, after Hilltop moves into their new building, Vermont students will move into FUMC, and then we'll do that building last. The Board of Education and my clients have stressed upon me from day one the importance of community engagement in this process. It was a very robust community engagement process through the pre-bond work leading up to the bond issue, but they wanted that to continue with the design of very specific, community-centered, community-focused buildings that reflected the values of their neighborhoods. So not three cookie-cutter buildings, but three very different buildings. So we designed a process to get to that answer, which is a series of neighborhood workshops that had been in the neighborhoods of the schools that we're designing, open to the neighbors in the community. So first one at Hilltop was on March 6th. That was a listening session. I will say we radically changed the design of the building based on the input we received that night. It became, I would say, a lot more community focused in terms of its layout to serve the community better. It surely changed for the better with a lot of great input. We've had staff input, we've had student sessions. I will report to council that the students wanted a 300-foot tall roller coaster at Hilltop, which unfortunately did not make it through the value engineering process. But the students were great. We talked to middle school students who were former Hilltop students. We previewed this with a planning commission meeting. And then we've appreciated the support of your staff, your professional staff, from Rusty to Megan and everywhere in between. We've had early, frequent, ongoing communication through this process, which has been extremely, extremely helpful. Fire chief, engineering, et cetera. We went back with Neighborhood Workshop 2 in May. Did we hear you correct in the first workshop, and are we on the right track? And then our last workshop for design refinement was in August. This teed up to the Architectural Review Board in November and Planning Commission also in November. So that's kind of all the work leading up to tonight. Here's just some photos from some of those sessions. Very transparent, small group breakout, reporting out from the small groups, understanding the design values for the building, meeting with teachers. This is where the roller coaster idea came from. The students were quite engaged. A lot of the middle school students said they wanted to go back. They wanted to go back to Hilltop, which was really fun. This was workshop number 2 in May. All the boards are printed. Folks got to peruse and comment and absorb. And then workshop number 3. This was an aerial view of Hilltop. I just want to explain what the problem we were trying to solve. Hilltop was obviously an old building, but the major issue with Hilltop was it was an open campus. So our goal with this project was to put Hilltop under one roof. So its footprint increased as we were adding square footage that we needed, but we're also looking for safety and security to get this under one roof. So that was the before images of the 4 buildings. Hilltop was kind of a cool mid-century modern building, low slung, a lot of horizontal lines, but it wasn't particularly attractive, right? It's more of a rooftop unit was the first impression of that as you look down on it. Safety and security issues relative to going outside, significant ADA issues where wherever you're going, you're essentially greeted by stairs. So those are all problems we wanted to solve, but we did like the use of masonry in the building. Some of the details in the windows we tried to replicate in the new building. And this design solution, I would say, is trending towards the most modern of the options that will be before council at Hilltop, which felt appropriate. This is after the demolition. Back in the fall when the trees were changing colors, it was a beautiful site. And this is the proposed site plan. So off of Oliver Road, we'll bring in a new drive with 36 parking spaces and have a full roundabout in and out. So the goal is to improve site circulation and all the constraints that are happening up at Oliver by allowing vehicles to come in. The staff will already be parked, so you won't have cars backing up. This will be for drop off and pick up. Of course, we're still going to welcome walkers. The floor plan takes a boomerang shape and it responds to the natural topography of that quite hilly site. So it takes a boomerang shape, and right in the middle, the knuckle will be the entry, the covered porch, and one of the significant design values was connecting. When we talked to the students, what they really loved about Hilltop, it was its connection to the outdoors. They loved being outside. They loved being connected and seeing the trees. So this is really one of the ways we're expressing that through entry and the covered porch and outdoor student dining. We have soft surface play area, hard surface play area, service off of Riley, service to the kitchen, mechanical, and bus loading and unloading. And then outdoor classrooms and student gardening was important, so we front loaded that in an outdoor space up front. I will mention the retaining wall. If you'll notice in that zigzag at the top is a retaining wall. Your architectural review board astutely said, how high is that? And it was about 10 feet high at its highest portion. Their recommendation to the Planning Commission was to consider alternatives for that, because like what we don't want to see as we're driving down that hill is just to have this large imposing wall. So I will let council know that our engineering team and your staff are working together to find solutions to soften, minimize, reduce its length, reduce its height, and hopefully kind of feather that back onto city property, assuming we meet soil boring requirements and site stabilization requirements, which we're working on. But other than that retaining wall, this is our proposed site plan. We have a very creative landscape architect who played on the natural theme. So this is some examples of playing with the topography and with the slope on the back of the school to integrate outdoor playground equipment. First floor plan. From the drop-off in the center, you'll have a new secure vestibule. This will be a great feature for all of your schools. None of them today have had secure vestibules. To get to the Hilltop office, you have to figure out the right building and then go up the stairs. At Elm, when you walk in, you're in the building. So we'll be able to secure that, buzz them into the office for better safety and security. The purple area is the administrative function. They all have direct views right out to the front. We have kindergarten on the first floor with their own separate entry. These are large classrooms, each with their own individual restroom. We have some special education spaces. The library is right in the catbird seat, kind of overlooking the view to the outside. We have an elevator and stair up. And then this is really what was born out of the first neighborhood workshop, was the ability to open up a section of the floor plan to kind of give back to the community for use of the gymnasium after hours, student dining room after hours, and be able to lock down the academic core portion of the building to make it more friendly for outside use. There'll be a student dining room with views to the outside, a stage that opens both to the student dining room and to the gym, and then a new larger gym, mechanical space, and then for the first time, a full service commercial kitchen to serve the students. Art and music up front and large group restrooms. And we go up a second floor. And each of the grade levels here has 3 classrooms. So we've got first stacked above kindergarten, second grade classrooms, some large group restrooms. The green are interspersed special ed spaces. So special ed isn't kind of in its own wing on its own floor. It's integrated holistically into the academic core. Third grade rooms, a bridge, which is flying across a 2-story space, which is a nod to the bridge that goes out to the playground. This is all stuff that came out of these forums. Large group restrooms, and then 4th graders, 3 4th grade rooms, and that ELA stands for Extended Learning Area. We wanted to give the 4th graders something a little bit special in the floor plan. We have a super talented environmental graphic designer who put a vision graphically together for this, a branded palette featuring Wyoming blue, but some complementary colors. I show this to you because you're going to see some colors on the exterior of the building, and you might say, where did those come from? All right, so that was born out of this process, as well as a logo. And then each of these schools will have their own expression. Hilltop on the left, we're going to play with the idea of sun and hills. Vermont in the center. Most of you realize that Vermont has an internationally recognized gardening program, which is incredibly special. So Vermont's theme will be plants, and then Elm will be trees. So that at Hilltop in particular, we're going to play up the sun in the hills. I'm going to spin you around some stills of the building, some frames. This is the boomerang shaped 2-story building. You can see where it turns in the middle with a knuckle. We do have rooftop units, but they will be screened. We turn around the corner, and you can see on the bottom right is a gymnasium. We're working to bring natural light into the gymnasium. The volume steps down on the left for service, so things like mechanical and kitchen. And then we turn around, you can see that knuckle going to the outside, creating a covered porch with views, seating, and outdoor plaza for the students. Turns back around to the 2-story academic core, and the site does step down a bit. It's a little hard to tell in this image, but we're bringing brick all the way down to grade by stepping the foundation wall just so we don't have a large visually exposed foundation wall at the corner. Dropping down to eye level, we're going to keep, we've heard more folks wanting to keep the signs out there, which has been a cultural event as students are photographed in the beginning of every year. So we're going to reuse the limestone, but bring in new brick from the building. So as we drop down to grade, you'll notice the site is pretty steeply sloping. So we just wanted to show you that. A garden on the left. There's the drop off. You can see some of the colors. We wanted some vibrancy in the colors. In this site in particular, it felt appropriate to bring some more energy to the primary school. We wrap around the building. You can start to feel that porch. See the elevator shaft in the middle and the stair that wraps around it. So as the students are moving up and through the building, they're always connected to the view outside. Large windows on the left will be to the student dining room. And then wrapping around the academic core on the south and on the east, you can see how that grade starts to come back up on the right. And that's the glass, kind of the lantern tower at the end. Quickly on schedule, here are the three schools. Hilltop at the top, but you can see how all this will flow together. Hilltop moved into FUMC in August of 25, and they'll be there through summer of 27. I will mention that working with your staff has helped us kind of fast track and speed this process. So the building has already been abated, it's already been demolished, and site work is occurring. That's all before council's approved the building. But we've worked with staff kind of proactively through making sure there's enough certainty about the building before all that was approved. So that started in August, that 4-month process. And then construction will start up heavy in the May timeframe and wrap up into May of 2027. Then Hilltop will move into the new school. And then I'll share more on the schedules of the other schools when that time is appropriate. So hopefully in summary, I shared with you the vision, enough about the design and schedule, and I'm here for questions or whatever comes next. Thank you.
Do we go to citizens first, or if there's any council questions? Does it matter? Go right to citizens?
Emily, do you?
Okay, so why don't we start with citizens? Is there anyone present who would like to comment or provide input on this item? Please come up and state your name and address for the record before addressing council. Please.
My name's Graham McKinney, and I live at 61 Bonham Road. I would like to say I think that this theme of having it outside is something I remembered because I was a student at Hilltop since kindergarten up to 4th grade, and I really enjoyed the boardwalk to the playground, and I just felt like it gave me a nice feeling of calmness outside of the school setting. So I really like that we're implementing the theme of nature into their daily lives at school. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present that would like to ask any questions? Okay, seeing none. Are there any questions from council? Cindy?
It's not entirely related to the construct of the schools, but I wondered how the planning is going and whether traffic was drastically impacted by the movement of the students to the church rather than the school itself.
Susie, would you be
Just as the traffic had to change with the students,
at Friendship Church?
Yes.
Traffic at Friendship Church specifically?
how'd that planning go?
It's gone very, very well, actually. And we did a lot of work with the city to put up signs and to restripe Fleming Road. And we've for a few weeks, we policed isn't the right word. We weren't policing, but it was our version of it. We had people at Central Terrace because we were very concerned about people using Central Terrace or trying to turn around, and all of those things. Once the parents kind of understood how to approach the building right, it's gone very, very well. So.
And then my second and final question relates to the fact that the K through 4 schools, the volume or the quantity of students available to those schools inches down as they go to the middle school. Is that what it looks like today?
The quantity?
Maybe I saw 350, 200, and 200. But then the number of students at the middle school was smaller. Is that how it looks today?
The actual enrollment is less than
Okay.
350, 200, 200.
Okay.
What we've done is that's been our design target to make sure there's flex. What the board didn't want to do is design just to today's enrollment and not have any flexibility to grow in the future. And I'm not sure exactly what your K-4 enrollment is today, but it's, yeah.
Oh,
So that number is less than adding the others.
thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, at Hilltop, we've never had a year where we've had 3 sections of each grade. And so because of the limits on the size of the building for both Elm and Vermont, those will be planned for 2 sections per grade. And then, when we have our bubble grades that come through and we have to add a section to keep those class sizes down, that will continue to happen at Hilltop School.
Noted. Thank you.
One question. I just really want to thank the school staff and administration and Mike for such proactive listening to the community. It's really an outstanding outcome. So thanks for all your work on this. Megan, thanks for all your work in Planning Commission, and John Voss, who's not here, for leading a lot of this in our commission meetings, and for Graham for speaking up today about the element that you spoke about. My only question pertains to the retaining wall. And were you able to incorporate any seating elements to the retaining wall? Is that on the table or not?
That was, thank you for your comments. Seating was something that Planning Commission, I think, requested us to take a look at. I wouldn't say the design is finished, and we could continue to consider that. I think some of the challenges that on the design side we might have been facing is, are we creating kind of a attractive nuisance? Because if you have, let's say, 2 4-foot steps and you need to have a 42-inch guardrail above it, do we want to be inviting students into that situation? So I think there's a little bit of concern at least from the design side, but we're happy to keep considering that.
It's really not. It wasn't my suggestion personally, but it came up during the meeting. I was just curious. That's a good feedback, right? We might be attracting something we won't want to have around the vehicles as they're turning around there. So I was just curious. But thanks again for this great outcome.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to the whole team. I sit on the Joint City Schools Commission, and the level of thoughtfulness and community forward efforts that have gone into this. My kids went to Hilltop, so seeing this is very exciting and a little nostalgic for me. But the level of just community forward thinking is just really impressive. And again, one of those things that make Wyoming a unique community. So thank you for all the work that you have done on this. I'm sure it wasn't easy.
Well, it's been fun. It's I kind of call it like a fox hunt where you're not exactly sure where you're going to, you're starting and you're going to end, but you're not exactly sure where you're going to end up. And I don't want to steal thunder from Elm, but I will report that Elm looks absolutely nothing like Hilltop. And it too was a result of the community wanting something different than maybe we were originally proposing. So we're excited about Elm too.
Any other questions? Bill?
No, I'll just support that, having gone to the Elm meeting, that I want to thank you for your responsiveness. I was hearing what folks had input in the first meeting and what you came back with in the next round. They were thrilled, and we really appreciate it, tying it into that part of the community in the way you guys did. So thanks for your responsiveness to the input.
Okay. Good. I think then this hearing is closed. Thank you so much for coming tonight. So next up this is the second reading of the ordinance approving the development plan for the Hilltop Primary School located at 425 Oliver Road and amending the zoning code. The third reading of the ordinance is set for February 17th, 2026 City Council meeting. Okay. Next up is an ordinance approving and accepting a perpetual public storm sewer easement and declaring an emergency. And Megan, do you want to give a little bit of background?
Thank you, Mayor Monick. This is essentially a redrawing of an existing storm sewer easement on Beechwood Drive in the cul-de-sac. Our Public Works crew had to repair a pipe, and to do the correct repair, it needed to go on a different part of the property than where the easement sat. So this is recognizing that change, and this is the process we follow is via ordinance.
So it's recommended that the rules be suspended and the ordinance be considered for adoption tonight. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Okay, so having been moved and seconded to suspend the rules, it takes an affirmative vote of 5 for passage. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. The motion carries. So we'll now need a motion to adopt the ordinance tonight. Do I hear a motion with respect to the ordinance?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Having been moved and seconded to adopt the ordinance tonight, would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes, the motion carries. So next up is the appointment of the Charter Review Commission. The appointments to the commission will be announced and voted on at the special city council meeting on February 2nd, 2026, before the committee of the whole meeting. Okay, does anyone have any other new business not otherwise on the agenda? No? Then we'll start with miscellaneous, and we'll start with Bill tonight, please.
Okay. Thoughts this month were kind of on the faces of government. Just some 3 experiences I had over the last month interacting with the folks who are on the ground. And the first one was the last leaf pickup was going around, and the crew was out doing that, and I was out chatting with me, and they they said, oh, your neighbor needs to move their car, and, just made some suggestions so that he can make sure he got his leaves picked up. The next one was I had a meeting with Megan, and I got to meet Cy, who has a lovely job of, code enforcement and that interaction. Again, a wonderful representative of the city. And the third one was we left our garage door open and lost a bike, and so I got to meet Officer Warmack and Detective Doss. And again, my impression coming away with these are the folks that really are the face of government to the community, and they do a fantastic job. And we need to continue to do everything we can to support them and retain those kinds of folks to in our community. So. Thoughts for tonight.
Awesome, thank you. April?
Happy New Year 2026. And I'm very excited just going into the new year and all the prospects of the great work that is happening to lay a good foundation for what's to come, especially with summer and summer camps and things happening around the community. So thank you.
Cindy?
Nothing.
Okay. Jody?
I have a long list tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The first one, official business. So this is for the group here. You'll recall that we discussed at the last committee of the whole looking at a 30,000-foot view of our boards and commissions from a strategic level. And so I did a little work to facilitate an agenda for a strategy session that we're going to do at the next committee of the whole meeting. So Tuesday, February 2nd. Thank you. We're going to extend that to a 3-hour meeting. Rusty has promised to feed us some food. But we'll need a good 3 hours, and we will tackle everything from a high level on through composition, cadence, and really just get into the nuts and bolts of our boards and commissions to make sure that it's aligning with our master plan, tackle any issues, and really maybe do this on a going 5-year basis. So plan that on your calendar, and more will come for that.
3 hours, okay.
3 hours. I'm going to do it I'm going to facilitate that so fast. It really would be 5, but I'm just that efficient. Okay, I did want to say thank you to Rachel Baker. She is coming to our meetings, and I think that's fantastic. I see her on social media coming to a lot of her communities, and I just think that's a huge asset for us to have that perspective and voice in the room. I think you're doing a great job with engagement, the lack of partisanship that I see coming from you, especially in this tough climate, and just your overall leadership. So thanks for coming. I think it's super awesome. Jean isn't here, but I wanted to say thank you. 1998. Dan and I were discussing what we were doing in 1998, and we're not going to talk about that, but that is just, we have those kinds of folks in our community, and that makes it truly extraordinary. So even though he's not here, I really thank Gene for his service. Architectural review is a tough committee, too. You're doing a lot of adjudicating and, working with your neighbors, and so I think that's great. I also wanted to thank Jeremiah. Although I am no longer on the finance committee, he is super patient with my questions and going through the documents. So thank you for that, and thank you. I could easily just say, yep, and no, you've got it, but I appreciate you spending some time with me. So thank you for that. And then the last thing is, it is Black History Month, and it reminds me of the MLK quote that the moral arc is long, but it bends towards justice. And boy, it just really feels like we're in the long part right now. And so I just appreciate this community and the togetherness and the values it represents. And it's a light in a darker world right now. So thank you for that. And let's just remember that we keep bending towards justice.
Thank you. Dan?
Great, thanks, Jody. Yes, thanks, Rachel Baker, for coming again and being a frequent visitor to our meetings and a lot of the meetings in your district. Rachel didn't just travel over here from Anderson Township, she came down from Columbus. So that's quite an effort, so we appreciate it. Finance is on my mind because we had finance committee today, and Jeremiah is on my mind. Thank you, Jeremiah. Just to reiterate, the budget number we had for income was 12.9 million, and we came in at 14.6, and that's quite a strong favorable number there. And on the expense side, we were budgeting 12.9 and came in at 12.4. So that's quite a budget and quite an outcome, so successful. And it's important, right? So the 6-month reserve that we have for operating is healthy. And as we go out for a bond, it's important that we demonstrate that financial health as we pursue those financing vehicles. So thanks again for all your work. $873,000 in investment income is nothing to sneeze at for a jurisdiction our size. So the STAR funds have been very useful for us. So we're not just sitting on cash, we're getting some return on that cash, above 4% generally. So thanks for all your work. That's all.
Thank you. Well, also, Jean's already left, but I also wanted to express my thanks to Jean serving us for so many years. Sitting on historic preservation and getting to see him in action. The man is very principled, he's very professional, and our city, his fingerprints are all over our city because of the quality of work that he's done for us. So we're very lucky. And I just want to say, as I was listening to the school presentation tonight, we know that people move to Wyoming because of the schools. And this investment that we're making to bring these 3 new schools on, our investment in our next 50 years of success as a city. And I also want to thank, Mike told me even before the meeting how helpful all the city employees have been of helping them work their way through this process to get it done in a way that they can meet their budgets, meet our requirements. But he had nothing but nice things to say about your professionalism, your willingness to respond quickly. And so thank you, because honestly, this is probably the project that is the most important to our future right now. And you guys being so helpful makes a huge difference. So thank you. Do I hear a motion to excuse Mr. Woodside?
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded to excuse Mr. Woodside, would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes, the motion carries. So we will have executive session tonight. Under Section 121.03B1 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Wyoming, council may adjourn to executive session to consider appointments to the Recreation Commission to fill unexpired terms. Do I hear a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Second.
Okay, having been moved and seconded to adjourn to executive session, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Council is adjourned to executive session. Good night and thanks, everybody.